any of you has an idea where your Sagittarius sits in your chart, because the Sagittarius archetype is emphasized today from this moon, because we have the a very strong energy that it's suggesting to use this energy to change trajectory. In the Sagittarius is the evolution state of Carrion, the wounded healer. Today, this combination of a constellation is suggesting us to change the focus from the healing to the wisdom that the experience of life, the experience of the healing has brought. To not get trapped in the constantly obsession of healing and healing and healing for the sake of itself. So today, this full moon, it's powerful for letting go, and I invite you to let go in a sort of a ritual, like you make it the intention of a ritual to let go what you have carried for a lifetime. There is, each one of us has theme that keeps coming back in a different ways, of course, because we are in the spiral of healing. So you hit the same energy in different lifetimes, timelines, and perspectives. But there is a one specific energy that normally comes back again and again. So what we're doing today is to really get clarity about what it is that is coming back. What is that you are called to see again, to release again, to understand again, and to move forward. Today is the time that it feels the time to, it's a reconstructive, it's a new architecture is coming in. Because we have, I'm going to go a little bit through the, to the energy of that it's coming in now to help us in this sense. It's almost we are going to climb a mountain instead of going deep into healing. We are climbing a mountain to reach the peak of what this experience has brought us, what is the gift of the wisdom that is coming. So the fire, it's to celebrate, to bring that power on our solar plexus, that self-power, that sense of self in a new space. Let's see. Okay, so I will invite you to close your eyes for a minute, just to enter that space to see what is the common theme that you are encounter every time. It could be relationship with the masculine, it could be relationship with the feminine, it can be relationship with money, or with freedom, with truth. All topics that are really dear and close to Sagittarius. Allow this feeling, could be a shadow, could be a situation that presents itself with different faces, with different people, but it's the same energy. See what comes familiar. And we're going to imagine that you have a symbolic altar where you bring the elements that you encounter, the lesson that you see, that you're learning again and again in this lifetime, the obstacles that you encounter, and it can be an experience that has been repeating and it keeps presenting itself because you need to either let it go after you learn and really detach. Often, until we don't understand that there are cords, there are attachment to even the energies and people that are challenging to us. And so we can learn the lesson, but also it's important to take some time and have that part of you that is attached because of the trauma, because of the shock, or because of the anger, to really feel it and let it go. And today we can do this because Sagittarius is asking us to look at the truth of what it is that we are learning. And instead of being in the space of learning, we need to jump in a space of teaching. And what I mean with this is allow life to learn from through living life, and so to be in a space of passing on the experience instead of being caught in the experience again and again. So the moment, this is actually a moment where we can shift from being the healing space into a teaching space. It can be through talking to friends or writing a book or really emanating the lesson that will help all people around us. It's not about inflation, it's not about being the guru or the teacher, but it's that inner shift that when you really accept the fact that you have grown, and there is instead of being victim of the experience, the experience becomes the teacher. And then you pass on the lesson that the teacher has brought. Why I'm tapping into this space is because this moon is opposite to the sun in Gemini. So we have Sagittarius opposite to Gemini. That this is a core axis. Because Gemini is the part of the archetype, it collects information. And Sagittarius wants action, moving forward. But of course, the shadow of Sagittarius could be to be superficial and just to run away. But today we have this beautiful blue moon that brings us the ability to stay, the ability to really enter this space as a ceremony. And so I ask you to ask in your notes, what truth do I need to know from the direct experience that I have had in life? You know, the conversation you had both before coming in, like what truth you need to know. I'm going through this heart surgery. I want to talk to you about, you know, I'm curious about endings, about this at my age. I'm proud of being who I am in my life. It's like, what truth do you need to know instead of living in fear, instead of being afraid of the future? It's like, let me be prepared. So the Gemini collects the information like you're doing, and then the Sagittarius asks you to go into action. So this is unique for Sagittarius because, again, Sagittarius is the wounded healer that became became the constellation when decided to stop being in that cycle of being wounded and healing. We have also Saturn in Aries, which is, Saturn brings the structure, and Aries it's moving forward. It's like really, putting the focus into it. Also, Saturn is the old masculine. It's part of the traditional masculine, and Sagittarius is the masculine that brings tenderness. So there's also that shift that we can find in ourselves or in the relationship with the masculine and feminine in nature inside ourselves. So there is a bridge between Sagittarius in the middle. It creates a bridge between Saturn and Aries, so that we don't go just full-blown mind, but there's also the sense of truth, the sense of spirit, and brings the expansion that Saturn is asking. So Saturn is asking, I can give you the structure to build what you want, but are you willing to commit? So Sagittarius, the shadow is a lack of commitment. So it's asking us to commit to this new timeline. The next thing that is very interesting is Neptune in Aries. This conjunction is very tender because Neptune is about spirit. So now it's becoming very important to move forward in this new path with spirit. Like, spirit is very important now. It's not only practicality, it's not material life. Neptune is really bringing a lot of attention to our purpose, our creative expression, and the sense of a connection with life, the sense of connection with our source. Also, Pluto is very important at this point. Pluto is, death and resurrection. It's bringing things to hand to come to the next level. So I feel that this new moon is very interesting because it's really taking us from the healer to the teacher, from the teacher to the guide. So the inner teacher, the inner guide, and the new lineage. That's the holding of a new lineage. You're coming out from an old repetitive path, and you're starting a new lineage. So we are the bringer of your new life. So this moon is very, very powerful. Gives us a lot of opportunities to change the trajectory and to learn from it, and to stay in that space to be curious. What's next? When we enter a trajectory, we don't really know what's there, so we have to be willing to be okay with that and to learn from it. So what is the gift of Sagittarius? It's the gift of collecting the treasure of our story. Collect the treasure of your story. Instead of being in that space and always, we're often trapped in the survival. And the survival keeps us in that space of, keep swimming, hoping that we don't drown. This moon is asking us to stop doing that, looking back to collect the story, the treasure of the story, and say, I actually have swum until here. I'm still riding my bike. I accomplished so much. I like collecting a sense of self. And this can happen also when we look at people we love around us. And now I understand. I had this experience a few days ago, and I was observing how, like the focus and how the devotion of growing and people around me, and I really appreciating the devotion to the purpose, the devotion to the authenticity, and I understand now that was the moon, the Sagittarius archetype was showing me that. So So we shifted from healing as a personal necessities to receiving the wisdom from the healing, to live it, to live in wisdom and share the wisdom. So this is a treasure. So if we look at the story, we get stuck in the story. If we look at the treasure of the story, we say, oh, this is what happened to me. I had to go through that to learn this precious lesson, and now I can live out of this dimension and live in wisdom rather than survival. Okay, so I would like to invite you to go into deep meditation so I can guide you into the creative imagination meditation. And I love doing that because we're going to meet the archetype of Sagittarius, and with all the symbols, with the lessons, with the guidance, and just be curious. When we enter a space of a creative imagination, the purpose is to be surprised, because if you are not surprised, it means that your ego is manipulating your presence or your persona. But we want to give space to the psyche to really give you a gift. And when you receive a gift from the psyche, something reshape, reforms in all your being, and it gives you a new start.